Good morning, friends and family, folks connected to Sarah and UCC, or folks who are just stumbling on this video this morning. We try to release a morning devotion 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So we're happy that you have found this one, and we invite you to return for more of these in coming days. We don't know how long we're going to have to work on this rhythm, where we're producing virtual content. We're going to make a decision here soon about exactly how long we think we're going to be out of worship and out of our previous rhythm. So hopefully this blesses you however your day has started and wherever your day is headed. We are grateful that you're finding us here. If this is something that blesses you, please feel free to share it. These are going to be a bunch of places. You'll find them on our Facebook page. You'll find them on YouTube. If you look for Saron United Church of Christ there. You'll find them on our website, spiritofsaron.org. You'll find these there every time we produce one, every time we release the next one. So hopefully that's continuing to bless folks. I wanted to talk about this thing that has happened to me. You may know, may have seen that the first couple of these morning devotions, I was seated. That seemed more casual. There was a plant here next to me in front of this beautiful window. We were trying to go for kind of a casual fireside chat look. I just thought my belly looked big. And my wife, whose belly is actually bigger than mine, also said, "Yeah, you look a little fat there." And she's allowed to say that, especially now. And so I went and got a podium, and I'm standing behind it from now on because I feel slimmer standing. But it got me thinking. I have said things like this for years. If I could only get a few days off, I could finish this project. If I could only find more time in my day, I could do this thing, like work out. If somehow life could slow down in a way that it never has before, man, I'd be a lot more productive around here. A lot more productive on myself. A lot more productive. And so maybe one of the gifts of this time that we find ourselves in, this weird time when we are forced to stay home and not have church and not go to ball games and not go to school, maybe the benefit of that weird time is now all of that extra time we wish we had, all of that extra stuff that used to distract us that isn't happening, maybe all of that is supposed to give us the time to work on ourselves, to get the nursery painted, to get a couple of workouts in, at least a couple a week, so that you don't feel silly sitting on a chair. Maybe the benefit of this time is that we finally have time to rest. Because how many of us were moving at such a fast speed that we relied on 1 or 2 vacations a year to just let the air out and decompress? Maybe the upside downness of this world we live in now, where kids are wishing they could go back to school. And folks are begging to come to church. And folks are wishing they had less time to sit in their houses. And folks have binge watched everything they meant to binge watch already. Maybe the thing we're supposed to do in this upside down version of our life is to focus on those things we've been putting off, those things that we always said we would do. Maybe it's time for us to rest, or to work out, or to get that project done, or to spend time with those we love that we've been neglecting for a while. There's this moment in Scripture that I would point you to. It's in Mark chapter 6. And usually in Mark chapter 6, we're looking at other things. At the end of Mark chapter 6, Jesus feeds the 5,000. You know that story well. It's one of Jesus' most grandiose miracles. It's a story that we like to tell a lot. One of the things we look at in Mark chapter 6 is that that's when Jesus sends out the disciples. And they go and do some work without him for a while. And I want to look at this moment just after that, when they've come back. We're going to look at Mark chapter 6, starting in verse 30. And really ending in verse 32. The apostles, I'm reading out of the New Living Translation. This is Mark chapter 6, verses 30 through 32. The apostles returned to Jesus from their ministry tour and told him all they had done and taught. And then Jesus said, "Let's go off by ourselves to a quiet place and rest a while." He said this because there were so many people coming and going that Jesus and his apostles didn't even have time to eat. So they left by boat for a quiet place where they could be alone. Now, as I read through this passage and thought about this invitation Jesus offered, command really that he gives to his disciples to come away and rest a while, I thought to myself, what have I ever been in a situation like these disciples find themselves in? And the answer is resoundingly yes. Things were going so well at Sarin Church in the couple of years since Jeff and I stepped into the pastor's roles, and we were moving quick and things were happening at a rapid rate. And yes, I'll even admit, sometimes there was so much coming and going in a day here that I couldn't get a sermon written. So I would go home to write it. I carved out Tuesdays to go home and write a sermon, though I very rarely spent the whole day there because there were other errands to run for my ministry here. And yes, I'll admit, even sometimes I wouldn't have lunch, or I'd skip a meal because I was so busy doing the work here. And I suspect that some of you have work life like that. Some of you don't have lunch because there's a client that you need to talk to, or a student you need to talk to, or your shift just doesn't bear it out because there are so many patients to get to. I'm going to guess that some of us were living those kind of amped up lives, moving so quick, doing the work God had given us to do, that we would miss things like meals and time with our loved ones and working on ourselves. And so Jesus, having sent the disciples out to do their work and them returning to tell him the story, builds into the rhythm of following him and serving him and doing the work of sharing the gospel, builds into that rhythm. Let's come away and rest a while. Let's go be somewhere where we can be alone, just you and I, just Jesus and us. I think that's instructive in the times that we have been given. It certainly is reframing how I feel about having to be stuck at home and only do minimal work, only do virtual ministry. And maybe, just maybe, what God is saying to me in this time is come away and rest a while. Work on these projects you've put off. Paint that nursery. Get some workouts in, so you can sit back in that chair and be casual by the fireside. For you, I suspect there are things you have put off that are about you and about the people around you that you love most and live with. Let's start to look at this time we have, away from all those other distractions and some of those things we miss and some of those things we never imagined we would. Maybe let's start looking at this time as Jesus giving us the opportunity to work on that stuff we've been putting off, to rest a while, and to do it with him. I hope you have a very, very blessed day. I'm excited about things happening at Sarin virtually. The praise band is going to do another concert this week on Thursday at 6:30. We're excited to share. We have an online giving component that's just really, really close to being alive. If you go to our website, spiritofsarin.org, and click online giving, soon it will be live and be there, and you can give to the church. There's ministry happening left and right. We asked for some volunteers last week, and folks have stepped up. We are excited about what God is doing with us, even though we are in this weird upside down time. Even though Jesus is saying to us to come and rest a while and rest in him. May you be blessed today. May you find that you are listening to Jesus differently and loving people around you differently and seeing this as a blessing, so that we might be refreshed when it's time for miracles and feeding 5,000 again. Have a great day.